What is up, guys? Back with another video, kind of giving you my advice as what I did to get to top 100, be able to place in top 100 pretty consistently. I think if you're at 16 wins, if you're at 18 wins, there's a few things you can do to try and get you over the hump. 16, get to 18. If you're at 18, get to 20, 21. Really compete with those upper tier players, compete with some of the pros, compete with some of the really good players that play week in league every week. And there's a few things you need to do. MUT veterans are going to know this. You need to optimize your abilities on offense more than anything else and make sure that they're always doing something for you. For example, I have Gunslinger Master. Every time I'm passing the ball, I'm using something from that ability, whether it be a flat route to my running back. Gunslinger, we all know how good that ability is. Make sure you're not wasting ability points. Route tech, I think, is much less relevant than it used to be. Personally, when I'm playing man coverage, it isn't able to beat it like it used to be able to. It doesn't beat one step super consistently. Deep route KO knocks the ball out. So I'm almost thinking of moving off that ability because it doesn't help my offense as much as it used to. Don't have a red zone threat on your field. How often is a red zone threat going to give you a touchdown? It's not going to lead you the 60 yards you need to get or 75 yards you need to get into the red zone, whatever that may be. It's not going to help you get there. Personally, deep out elite may be super helpful, especially if you watch Civil ever use it. He uses it on his gun bunch tight end, rolls out and throws it. But you're not able to use that effectively every play of the game. But I personally like the abilities you're using more than anything else. For example, Playmaker is always there for me on the field to Playmaker. If it's against zone, Playmaker back to the middle of the field, Playmaker up the field. From rolling out on PA boot over, Playmaker that up the field so I don't have to rely on the delay fade. I think it's the best ability in the game. I do a bunch of other people. And then I run Route Tech. I'm still running it. If you're a player that gets 15 wins or 16 wins, don't run Jukebox on your running back or the trucking ability. Good players that know how to stop the run, you're not going to beat them with that. You may be a player of your skill level or a player that's worse than you and truck over someone for a touchdown, but that's not going to really help you beat a player that's super good unless you have some other type of scheme that you run in every play. If you're a passing player and you don't like route tech or you have 2 AP left, look at what the pros do. I just played J-Wall and he beat me 35-0, being completely transparent. He's the best player in the world, and my 2-man pass rush rarely got there because he's running a post up on both his guards. I don't think he even has any route techs, not that I ran man, and they don't let the 2-man pass rush get through, and it really stops that from happening. Now, I don't know how much it does when you send a 4-man pass rush or when people blitz you, if it really even helps you with that, because then you're obviously not engaged in double teams, but that's something that helps you combat the 2-man pass rush meta. Whatever your scheme is on defense, make sure the players are getting affected by your abilities. Don't use Lurker on a linebacker just to use a linebacker. It's pointless. I'm testing out Deflator, so that's why I have him on him right now. Normally, I have that 2 AP on another mid-zone KO. I forget what it's called, but it gives you extra pass rush points when you get a shed, and I put that on Chase Young. And I think defense is a little bit more forgiving as far as abilities go. Like, for example, I have inside stuff, like using that to stop the run. It helps, especially even sometimes when they double team, you get a little extra push or a little extra shed. That's why I like using that ability. Some people just shoot gaps and hit stick and go crazy, so it's not something that's necessary. Mid-zone KO, if you run zone, I think it's really effective in a yellow zone. Other zones, I haven't noticed it really get knockouts. It doesn't help 99 zone players fly to the ball that much more quicker. So I'm only really using one mid-zone KO right now on Jamal Adams, who's in the middle of the field. And if you're running one steps, if you want to run a man scheme, personally, I don't run it. But if you want to run a man scheme, make sure your one step aheads are on the players that can really affect the play. If you go into a game and the slot receiver has route tech and your one steps are on your 3 corners and they're on the 2 other receivers or a tight end and they're not covering the one guy that has route tech, you need to make sure you go into your formation, sub that one step ahead into that play and move them around the field. Put your players in position to win. If you're putting people in zone, maybe you sub out Lawrence Taylor from end and put in a middle linebacker there because the 90 zone may play a little better. That's all my talk I'm going to go to with abilities. Thing number 2 I think you can do to really help improve your game is whatever formation you run. If you run gun trips tight end, if you run gun bunch tight end, if you run Pats Y U trips it's called, if you run spread, look at the players who do it really well. Look how they play the game. Look at how J-Wall runs spread. Look at some of the setups he does. He puts his playmaker guy on the innermost slot receiver and uses him there. Think about why he uses it there. Look at what areas of the field he uses it to attack. If you are a Y off trips guy, I think that's what Decroft runs. Look at how he runs it. Maybe purchase his eBook. When he's streaming, watch how different route combinations. Look what route he's using to attack a certain part of the field. For me, gun bunch tight end, I didn't take that much stuff from Civil because I run it a different way with the playmaker, but I watch him see different plays he sets up. And someone that really influenced me and helped my game go from 17 to 18 wins every week, to 20 to 22 wins every week, sometimes 19 if it's a bad week, is that I took a look at how Noah plays the game. Noah, he runs the ball a lot. He still has some dots, but he audibles around his formations a bunch. It is severely underrated. If you do not make the best reads, if you can't make 30 throws a game that are all going to be lasers, to audible to different formations. If you ever watch me on my streams or my gameplays that I posted a few weeks ago, I audible from gun bunch tight end to I form close to I form H slot to I form H wing even. Put the personnel in that you need to audible around. If you like running out of I form H wing, go to, let's say in my case, gun bunch tight end, put another tight end at receiver, put a running back in at receiver, and then audible to that. That's going to help your game because they have to respect PA boot over, possibly if you really want to mix it up, at a gun bunch tight end, and they can't come out right away in their I form H wing formation defense or their strong H wing defense, and even more so for just one running back in the formation, they can't come out in their I form close defense necessarily. You pass the ball and you audible around. If you like passing out of different gun formations, make sure that you start in one passing formation and audible to that if you don't run that formation a bunch. I suggest heavily having one formation that you use, that you come out in every play. So there's this one play that I think, gun tight flex I think it is. There's one play I like there to bomb cover 3 for about 40 yards. Make sure I have 3 wide receivers in my gun bunch tight end. If I had a running back in, I take him out and then I audible to that play and run it. That way they're expecting something from gun bunch tight end. I audible to that and then I'm able to bomb them for cover 3. Another play I like, a weak close flex, I like to bomb zero coverage with it. I also run halfback dive to make them respect the run in that and throw it over the top. If you audible down, don't run every time you audible down. Pass the ball when you audible down. For example, weak close flex, there's a pass I really like out of that and I run it, helps me bomb them over the top. Audibling down has elevated my offensive game, and audibling from one formation to another it's taken it to a next level. And also looking and making sure the players that have your abilities are in the right spot, because in weak close flex I have my inside receiver Tyreek Hill on playmaker. That's who I playmaker. If I audible down to that, the man that needs route tech to beat zero coverage, that would be Tyreek Hill. So I have to swap them before the play to make sure route tech's in the right spot, and then I throw it over the top and he beats him on his short inside post. So audibling around formations is something that is severely underrated, and I think everyone should try and do. And on defense, if you're having trouble making stops, I highly suggest trying to play zone and not running just strict man. Me personally, I was not able to beat good players or even players of my skill level when I was just running man coverage. They would beat me over the top. They knew plays that beat man. I wasn't able to make zone in super well, and it always seemed to have something over it, whether it be a playmaker, whether it be the running back. I just wasn't that good at mixing man in. Maybe you're able to do that, but if you get good at zone, it's way easier to confuse people with zone drops. It's way easy if you mix up your zone drops throughout the game. It's way easier. And a coverage that I think is severely underrated is cover 2, because if you're cover 2 zone drops, they're ready on the side of the field. They play the sideline a lot better if it's a crosser. They don't have to go from the middle of the field to the outside on a crosser or even a corner route or something to that effect, and they're ready in position. So if it's 25-yard flat, that drops back 25 yards. It's going to cover a crosser. If you need it to cover the PA boot over crosser, 30 yards back, it covers that. And then if you want to give them a cover 3 look, you deep third the outside corner, you middle third the safety, and then you make your certain zone adjustments underneath. And I think that's another important aspect to the game that people don't take into account if they're not as good at the game, is try out cover 2. If you want to mix in a man coverage to cover a wheel route, make sure you do that. And running cover 2 and being super off meta for me at a big nickel when people are just expecting nickel 3-3-5 wide and Mike blitz 3 and Mike blitz O and 2-man undershade underneath, it throws people off, especially with only blitzing 2. They're expecting maybe only blitzing 2, but they're expecting Mike blitz 3 where where the sideline has trouble getting covered because your curl flat is coming all the way from the middle of the field and it's not going to play the sideline. So I immediately take away the sideline. Sometimes I only leave 2 deep blue zones on the field. More often than not, if you're playing a good player, they're looking to pick you apart across the middle, on the sidelines across the middle, and they're not sending 4 streaks down the field. So that's something that I've done to really help me out. And as far as just the general flow of the game, don't always look for the bomb. Make sure if you're passing the ball to take things underneath. Take the 2 or 3 yard run. Establish that play in your playbook. Make them know they need to be able to cover that. Throw the flat to make them know they're going to need to leave a flat on that part of the field. If you notice they're not covering the middle of the field, make sure you throw a flat out to pull the flats away from it, then throw throw a hitch on the field, then throw a slant across the field. Make sure you're attacking different parts of the field to make them respect that part of your offense. You can't just call one play setup every game. That's not going to help you. Just change things up. You have to make them respect different plays, make them respect different formations like I do. I can't sit in gun trips. If I sat in gun trips tight end the whole game, I would lose. I'd throw a CV eventually. I'd get sacked by a blitz. If I sat in gun bunch tight end the entire game, I lose because I'd be passing every play. Inside zone only takes you so far on so many different runs. It just doesn't work out like that. You can't pull it off if you're not J-Wall level reads, or let's say someone like W level reads or Mike Skimbo type reads. That's how I've gotten better. I think that's how you should try and get better, is audibling around, trying to run more zone, off meta type stuff. Man coverage can only get you so far. Let me know if you want me to drop a video where I go over, make some commentary on my gameplay. This is purely just to get this out there. If you have any questions, I'll make sure to respond to every comment. Hopefully this helped you out a little bit. I tried to explain everything from kind of my thought processes of how I went from, 16 wins a week to getting to 20 to 22 wins a week. And I think, again, just to wrap things up, super important to watch how pros are doing it. Super important, in my opinion, to audible around different formations and not rely on one thing. And super important to make them respect different plays in your playbook and not just spam one thing to death, then they figure it by the third quarter and you're screwed. That's been the video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be coming out with my weekend league rewards. If you want to see a gameplay where I kind of explain my thought processes, I can definitely do that for you. I just need to see that the interest is there. Subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. I'm on 85 followers there. I've been on the grind. That's where I play all my games. It's where I'm able to interact with people a lot more. And I will see you in the next one.